you. So happy to be back. Let's keep on moving. Scripture is sacred and an authoritative text in our lives, no doubt. And it's so sacred and authoritative that it can really confuse the heck out of us. I mean, when you go back into the very beginning of this scripture passage, it's pretty intense. I mean, we're dealing with judges, we're dealing with deeds, we're dealing with times of exile, we're dealing with defects. It is intense. And we're having to go all the way back to our ancestors. Thank goodness, because we know that there's a lot that went on back in the time of any of our beloved ancestors. In order to embrace our own confusion as we come to sacred text, the writers were brilliant. The disciples were passionate in how they wrote and spoke the sacred word. For they utilized poetry, they utilized illustrations, they utilized the elements that are in their daily lives to share with us what in the world this living word means that is implanted on our hearts. The imagery and illustration that is throughout Scripture in the New Testament around faith, faith is like a seed. It comes up very often. Seeds are small, they're precious. They're so small you assume nothing big can come from those. And in hearkening into other great stories of faith, seeds are easily lost among rocks and thickets and sand. To really embrace the uniqueness of what our faith is, it makes sense that out of this agrarian culture from Scripture, that the farming community is drawn to the illustration and a deep relationship to faith like a seed. In fact, I am fully removed from the agrarian culture. I do not plow. I barely grow something successful out of a seed. Thank goodness children are stronger than seeds. I barely am able to keep something alive during the season that it's supposed to be growing versus even what the perennials versus the annuals. I know there's distinctions, still get those confused. And so what I love is that I have to be a bit more artistic or agile and trying to understand just how unique this illustration is and how pertinent it is to truly understanding how precious faith is. The seed is not precious because it's strong. The seed is not precious because you hand somebody a seed and I will be able to keep it alive and well the whole time. The seed is precious because of what it gives an opportunity for. The opportunity with the seed is not that it just happens. The seed is something that is grounded, rooted. The seed is something that takes in all the elements that are around it, even beyond what the seed is touching. The seed is precious and unique. In this conversation with Paul to this very small Christian community, you can infer that no matter how small this community is, their faith, where the seed lands and how the seed grows and takes in all that is around it, that seed is imperishable. For this small Christian community of faith, that is imperishable. Your faith, your community is, thank you very much, hang with it. Imperishable seeds, they do not stay small. They do not stay weak. Imperishable seeds, they do not stay underground or even behind closed doors like some disciples have in the past. Imperishable are growing. They are moving. They are reshaping themselves all the time because of what is coming into them, what is surrounding them, and what they are grown towards. I do know, because I figured it out, in the seasons of the sun, I'll even say, there is a plant that has not died yet in our house. And this plant starts to wilt more and get less green. And I just figured it out after 8 years now that this plant, the sun has shifted seasonally as it hits the front of our house. And so if I have the plant at this one end of the string of windows, during the summer, boom, it is like full-on life, right? And when it stays there, and now it's winter, it's light, not as green. The kids knock it over easily. Dirt still falls out, and they hide it and put it back in. It's just not as strong. And then 2 years ago, I figured out, oh, the sun shines longer, brighter at this end of the string of windows. And so I moved the plant over there. So I now move the plant seasonally. How much did the plant have to teach me that sometimes you have to be movable in order to grow? You have to utilize the resources and the abundance that are around you. As seeds grow and reshape and reform, their roots deepen and they expand in their growth. This plant has been knocked over. I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and we do not have kid-free zones in our house. And so this plant has been knocked over and over and over again. Dirt falls out of the pot. The plant still stays in the pot. Those roots, I have no idea. We are imperishable seeds. Paul states. Paul illustrates. We need to be clear with ourselves and ask, are we growing? Are we utilizing all the resources that are around us, within us, and even beyond us? Are we being stagnant, stuck at a window that doesn't get the full sun at a certain season? Because if we are, we might just need to move. We might just need to shift. Because we know from our ancestors that actually the resources and the abundance, that never dies. The strength of the faith, it's not just left up to me. Thanks be to God. We just shared in these beautiful poetic songs. My faith, oh, glory, does it get thin sometimes? But the strength in the faith comes from those resources, those histories, those relationships, and the ability and the agility to move for our faith. We are always with God, thanks be to God. But as seeds, we also need to be about the business of growing. The vitality of the resources that are within us, around us, and also beyond us. Now, as some Presbyterians do, I do not always follow in this category, but as some Presbyterians do, I'm not even going to leave it Presbyterians, as many people in the Washington, D.C. area do, I am not proclaiming it is time to come up with a 10-point perfect plan on how to grow. That will kill you in ministry. That will suffocate you in ministry. Consider the variety and the authenticity of what growth can mean for you as an individual, for you as a community of transformation, your house. Consider the opportunities and the resources that are before you and that might also call you. Growth in prayer, what would that look like? Growth in numbers, what might that feel like? Growth in your expectations, not only of yourself, but of one another. Growth in how you desire one another to be faithful. What does growth in your heart look like? What might scary in thinking about growth in my heart. If any of us have so faithfully gone into the journey of covenant with another, companionship, love towards another, growth in heart, that is some scary stuff. And it is real, people. And if I ever think that I'm going to know how to do this covenant into my marriage by myself, know that there is a reason why our tradition holds a public marriage ceremony. Because it's not about me, and it's not just about my husband. This is about growth. This is